Hey, this is Jeremy from MSI Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new MSI GTX 780 Twin Frozr Gaming Edition. I'm super excited to see how the new monster on the block handles things, so without further ado, let's kick things off. MSI for a few years now has been really pushing the envelope with cooling performance from their Twin Frozr line of graphic cards. The Twin Frozr cooled cards keep system levels cool, quiet, and efficient, and in doing so, adds a good bit of value to an already delicious package. Nvidia recently released their latest generation cards, the 7XX series. The GTX 780 falls at the upper echelon of the performance chart. Sliding the GTX 780 Twin Frozr Gaming out of its box reveals a tremendously svelte looking graphic card. The cooler is devised of a solid jet black finish with a slick red line of lacing around the top that adds a delicate flair to the whole thing. The rear of the cooler comes to an almost aircraft-like set of ridges. Underneath that lies the heat piping and spread system. Smack bang in the center of it all are two powerful 95mm fans. They are large, but not overly imposing, and come dressed in style with the same fashionable red and black coating. The superb thing about having bigger fans is that the card is able to run cooler and quieter than most, and in turn is delightful on the ears. Because the cooler is crafted from strong plastic, the actual weight of the GTX 780 Twin Frozr comes a few hundred grams lighter than the stock variant, which is 786 grams versus 946. The physical sizing of the card is pleasing, with the PCB coming in at nearly 27 centimeters in length, which means you should easily be able to fit this card into almost any mid-tower sized case or above. When you've got 3GB of VRAM to play with, you know you're going to have some fun. The card comes overclocked out of the box with a base core clock of 954 MHz. On the input panel of the card, we're met kindly by 4 ports, one standard HDMI input, a display port, and 2 DVI inputs. And even if for some reason in this day and age your monitor doesn't support one of these inputs, inside the box is a DVI to VGA. The MSI GTX 780 Twin Frozr is crafted extremely well. The board's strong and rigid and comes packed neatly, cushioned by many inches of protective foam. Whilst the GTX 780 isn't Nvidia's fastest card on the market, it's certainly no slouch at all. The architecture of the GTX 780 is based off the GTX Titan, the GK110. The card comes with a TDP of 250 watts and idles around 15 watts of power. It's stacked with 3GB of GDDR5 VRAM and 2304 shader processors, meaning that the graphical overheads go well beyond what games of today require. Future-proofing is always important when it comes to looking at graphic cards. And with the next generation of consoles just around the corner, it's comforting to know that you'll be getting great performance as game engines make a leap forward in processing and computations. A graphic card for gamers is all about the performance, and sapping every last ounce of juice out of it as possible. Whilst the MSI GTX 780 Twin Frozr is already more than powerful enough to get you through any task you throw at it, for years down the track you might be interested in a little app that comes bundled with it. It's called the MSI Gaming app. Basically, what it allows you to do is flick through 3 different modes of clock speed profiles. There's silent mode, gaming mode, and OC mode. For those who do like to have a bit of a tinker, you can easily go to town on the clock speeds via MSI's infamous Afterburner software, which allows for in-depth customization of just about every aspect of the GPU. You get to set fan speeds, clock speeds, voltages, and even get to see real-world performance gains with things like in-game frame rate overlays and analysis. We benchmarked on a very powerful computer featuring the latest generation of Intel Core i5 processors, the MSI Z87 GD65 motherboard. We had 24GB of RAM and a 256GB SSD. The MSI GTX 780 Twin Frozr is an absolute dream to run. It is extremely quiet as it powers through game after game. We ran all our benchmarks with the card set to OC mode, which is 954 MHz on the core and the boost clock set to 1006. First up on the chopping block was EA's shooter blockbuster from last year, Battlefield 3. The game features a rich amount of lighting and graphical detail. Whilst I'm nowhere near Australia's best Battlefield player, I was very pleased with the consistent high frame rates I got with all settings cranked up to the maximum. I ran all my benchmarks at 1920 by 1080p resolution with 4x AA and 16x AF. The average frame rate sat at 84 FPS, which is seriously fantastic to play with. Gameplay was smooth and fluid, with a minimum frame rate of 76 FPS. We also ran through a handful of other popular game benchmarks. For more on how our benchmarking went with the MSI GTX 780, check out the full written review up on our site. It's rare to find a graphic card that balances temperatures, performance, and noise levels so ridiculously well out of the box. From its striking design to outstanding cooling, this GPU has it all. If you're in the market for a card that'll last you many years to come, the MSI GTX 780 Twin Frozr offers up an incredible package that's hard to look past. If you're an enthusiast looking at squeezing even more fast performance out of this card, overclocking it a tad further can push performance up by around another 8 to 10%. The only thing that might hold you back is the price point. Buying graphic cards as good as these come at a hefty price point. The MSI GTX Twin Frozr Gaming retails in Australia for around $859. With that said, this is a card that will undoubtedly offer you a seriously long cycle of gaming goodness. The MSI GTX 780 3GB Twin Frozr is a GPU to be reckoned with. Factor in the insanely low operating temperatures and whisper quiet cooling of the Twin Frozr, and you quickly realise that MSI has built something truly beautiful here.